February 28, 2026, at midnight, between the waves of the Arabian Sea and the Eastern Mediterranean, two gigantic floating cities, the USS Abraham Lincoln and the new and most powerful aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford, had already silently taken their positions. In Washington's war room, the general spoke into the microphone. His encrypted voice echoed directly aboard the USS Ford in the Mediterranean. "Commander, this is the moment. Operation Epic Fury has begun. Is there any hesitation on the Israeli side?" The commander, while watching the radar, replied, "Negative, sir. Israeli jets are in the air. Operation Roar the Lion is green. This was not an ordinary military strike. It was a preventive attack, a surgical and devastating destruction whose final target was not a military base, but the nerve center of Iran, University Street in Tehran, the Jamhuri district, and the heavily fortified bunkers of Pasteur Street. Inside those bunkers was Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Iran is not an open field where you can easily enter and exit. It is a fortress surrounded by mountains, deserts, and some of the most advanced air defense systems in the world. The distance from Israel to central Iran was approximately 930 to 1,240 miles. To reach it, a jet had to pass through the hostile airspaces of Jordan, Syria, and Iraq. The greatest threat to the Israel Defense Forces and the U.S. military was Iran's strong air defense network, the S-300 and S-400 batteries acquired from Russia, and its own Bavar 373 system, capable of shooting down even a bird in flight at any moment. In the underground command center in Tel Aviv, an Israeli Air Force commander said, "If we go in directly, we'll become an easy target. Their radars might detect our F-35s late, but they'll turn our refueling tankers into fireballs in the sky." A U.S. officer present smiled. "We won't go in directly, my friend. First, we'll blind them. We'll show them only what we want them to see." And here began the greatest mind game of the century, a strategy known in military language as time on target. A submarine was launching missiles from beneath the Arabian Sea. A stealth bomber was taking off near Jordan. A destroyer was firing cruise missiles from the Persian Gulf, and Israeli F-35 jets were crossing Iraq. Each weapon moved at a different speed and covered different distances, but all calculations were so precise that U.S. cruise missiles and the guided bombs from Israeli jets fell at exactly the same second, the same instant, on Karaj, Qom, Kermanshah, and Isfahan. Not a second of delay. "Synchronize the clocks," ordered the U.S. Admiral. After that, the vertical launch systems of Arleigh Burke-class destroyers like the USS Thomas Hudner opened. Flames rose into the sky and dozens of Tomahawk land attack missiles began gliding through the air at subsonic speed. These missiles flew so close to the ground that they remained hidden below the radar horizon. As the missiles and jets approached the border, in an underground radar installation in Tehran, an Iranian operator's eyes widened. On his screen, not one or two but hundreds of dots began flashing. "Commander, sir," the operator shouted, sweat running down his forehead. Unidentified targets, more than 100 jets heading directly toward Tehran. The commander looked at the screen, his breath caught. "It's an attack. Lock onto them, fire everything. Bring the power systems online now." But they didn't know they were firing into the air. U.S. forces, through space satellites and electronic warfare aircraft, had injected false data, and the hundreds of jets appearing on the screen were not real fighter planes. They were small decoy drones that appeared on radar like a large squadron of F-15s or F-16s. As soon as the Iranian air defense activated its systems and fired missiles at the decoys, it revealed its own location. The hunter had become the hunted. From the sky, fifth-generation stealth fighters, U.S. and Israeli F-35s and F-22 Raptors, which until then had remained completely invisible, launched anti-radiation missiles. In the next instant, the entire Iranian air defense network was devastated. The attack was designed in 3 distinct waves, with a precision that left the world astonished. First, surface-to-air missile sites and radar installations around Ilam, Khuzestan, and Tehran were reduced to ashes. Tomahawk missiles destroyed the S-300 and S-400 batteries to clear a safe path for incoming pilots. Now the bomb trucks entered the action. From bases in the UAE and Jordan, F-15E Strike Eagles penetrated, slicing through the air. When the F-15's AESA radar detected mobile missile convoys hidden between mountains, precision bombs began falling like rain. Launch sites in Kermanshah were turned into smoke before they could be activated. Fox 3, target destroyed, said a U.S. pilot over the radio. Their jets returned mid-air to tanker aircraft, took on thousands of pounds of jet fuel, and headed back out to strike again. Now it was time for the most dangerous weapon, the U.S. Air Force's Silver Bullets, the B-2 Spirit stealth bombers. Their targets were deeply buried nuclear facilities and high-value military industries. Isfahan, the main center of Iran's nuclear and drone program, and the industrial and aerospace hub of Karaj were shattered. The B-2 bombers dropped heavy bombs that shook even the underground bunkers considered the most secure in the world. Meanwhile, from the Arabian Sea, a new jet was launching every 30 seconds. E-2 Hawkeyes orbited in the air, managing the traffic of hundreds of aircraft. The sky was filled with ash. On the streets of Tehran and Isfahan, only sirens could be heard. On the USS Ford, the commander received a message. The Pasteur Street compound is completely destroyed. Target neutralized. A wave of joy swept through the command center. They had achieved what was considered impossible. But the greatest and most official confirmation came on the morning of March 1st. The normal broadcast of Iranian state television suddenly stopped. Verses from the Quran appeared on the screen, and a news anchor, his face marked with deep sorrow, delivered the news that shook the entire world. Iran's supreme leader had been martyred. The news was confirmed. 86-year-old Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who had ruled Iran with a firm grip for nearly 37 years, had died in his office compound. After his death was confirmed, Iran unleashed the fury of its revenge with its most terrifying weapons. It did not lack arsenals. Its air defense had been destroyed, but thousands of drones and long-range ballistic missiles remained intact. Operation True Promise was launched. The entire Middle East became an open battlefield. Iranian ballistic missiles targeted not only Israel, but also U.S. regional assets. Missiles struck Al Dhafra Air Base in the UAE. The U.S. Navy headquarters in Bahrain was directly targeted. Fireballs exploded in the skies over Qatar and Kuwait, and their airspaces were completely closed. In Israel, the situation was even more severe. Sirens sounded over Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. The Iron Dome, David's Sling, and Arrow 3 systems continuously fired missiles into the sky. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu appeared live and said, "Citizens of Israel and our enemies around the world, today we have fulfilled our promise." Operation Roar the Lion was not just a military strike, it was a declaration. Ayatollah Khamenei, who for decades vowed to wipe Israel off the map, has today seen his empire of terror reduced to dust. Shortly afterward, U.S. President Donald Trump also addressed the world, saying, "My fellow Americans, last night the United States military permanently eliminated the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is no longer alive. He planned attacks against our bases. He threatened our assets in the Middle East, but he could not escape America's unmatched power and our precise intelligence. We turned his bunker into a pile of ashes in a single strike." Friends, the night of February 28, 2026, forever changed the geopolitical chessboard of the Middle East. From the lethal mathematical precision of time on target to the deception of decoy drones, the United States and Israel demonstrated a level of military superiority that will be studied in military academies for decades to come.